All right, so I have little brother, youngest brother of all the Rices today. I'm really excited to have Matthew on. Matthew has inspired me to create the YouTube page and kind of go after a brand, not necessarily a full brand, but obviously we want to represent what we're about. And Matthew is the creator of One Roll clothing, and he is also the creator of AFG Entertainment, or one of the creators of AFG Entertainment. And we're doing kind of like a little collab today. So welcome, Matthew.
Thanks. I'm happy to be on. I've never been on camera and talked that much, so it should be fun.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, well, thanks for coming, Matthew. Thanks for
Oh, of course.
mobbing the vehicles. That was fun.
Yeah, I burned mine out a little bit, but yeah.
It's all right. We'll edit that out. No one will know. But what was it like driving the FJ? Was that fun?
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't drive stick, so that was a little bit interesting. I kind of figured it out pretty quick, but also
But
for some
hold
reason,
on. Don't you guys have quads and like dirt bikes?
so that was right before I was born.
Okay.
So right after I was born, so Sam got one, Tanner got one, all the older brothers got one. I never had one. Yeah, I was 2 years too young.
Okay.
So I never got to learn very much about it. I mean, I think I've rode dirt bikes like one time, but that's even just like a click shift. It's not like, but yeah, it was interesting. Like I figured it out pretty fast, but what I noticed on the FJ is the pedals. Pedals are really small.
They are small.
I did not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I went to push the clutch in, and then I would have to like look for it, and then push the clutch in. I was
Yeah.
like, that's funky. But
Yeah. Yeah.
And usually the clutch pedal is all the way to the left, and it's kind of toward the middle, so it's a little bit different. So, but I figured it out. It was cool. It was fun.
So since we're on that tier of subject, I wanted to touch on Adventure Friends Go. You guys started a YouTube page about your trucks and working on them.
We started it in, what was it? I think it was January, beginning of January this year.
That sounds all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's growing pretty fast. It's got 140 subscribers as of today. We've got like 21 full videos out. I mean, shorts, those are just like little promo kind of videos, but yeah, it's been kind of fun. It's been pretty cool. We haven't gotten to actually go out very much. Most of our videos are like inside the garage just because we're trying to get everybody's rig kind of going. But I was talking to everyone. I'm trying to figure out how to make like each person's rig a little bit more different, just because we all basically have the same rig.
And what is that? What are you guys working on?
We do basically turn of the century GMC Yukons. One friend has a Chevy Suburban that's like 2003, I think 2004.
And what's the difference? Just like length on those?
So mine personally is an 03 Yukon XL, so it's actually the same length as a Chevy Suburban, because Chevy and GMC always like shared models quite a bit and shared kind of specs. So it basically has all the same stuff. It just looks a little bit different on the outside. Tanner and Nash both have the regular size Yukons, so it's like the shorter SUV. But mine and Blake's, we have the long ones, right? So I think mine's one of the only ones with a tow package. So I kind of want to build mine more focused on pulling people out and stuff like that,
The rescue mobile?
Yeah, because since I'm so long, I can't get over rocks the same way and get all crazy with it. But they have a little bit more clearance since it's shorter. But yeah, I've been trying to kind of figure out how each person will have a little bit different part. But we're kind of still figuring that out. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Tanner wrecked his. He bent the front, destroyed it. Yeah, rammed it into a pole. So he bent the front frame, and so we got to like cut it and then try to spread it apart and replace the front bar. But we'll see. Yeah.
Tanner got a little wild behind the wheel, huh?
Well, so he doesn't. I mean, he's like me. I don't know a whole lot about everything. I've been learning quite a bit, but
Yeah, you guys have been learning fast.
yeah, we've been trying. So what happened is he has all-wheel. Well, actually, no, he doesn't have all-wheel drive, but he didn't turn his traction control off. So he was moving it around this corner in the snow, and since he has traction control, when his tire starts to spin, basically the car goes and then it stops, and then it takes all four wheels and turns on four-wheel drive. So he was taking it around this corner, and then the four-wheel drive turns on, and he goes straight forward, straight into a pole. So he didn't actually make the turn because he was turning, and then it just went whoop, and it stopped midway. So he didn't know that, obviously, and so he took it straight into a telephone pole. But what was funny, God, it was so funny. So we had this rack, but we didn't have the correct brackets to mount it on the top of his car. And so him and Nash had the bright idea to put like, God, what was it? It was like 45 zip ties. And he tied it to his crossbars. And so what happened is when he hit that pole, the rack slid off of his car and then hit the pole. And then he pulled out and then got it towed to Chase's house. He got it towed to Chase's house, and then they go back to grab the rack, and it's gone. Somebody grabbed it within maybe like 15 minutes because they were right down the road from Chase's dad's house.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and so they go back, and the rack's gone.
If you found that rack, we're looking for it.
If you have the rack, good find.
That's funny. So what is the next project? What are we building next as far as your mods and the trucks?
So mine, over last weekend, we just redid the suspension. But mine has transmission issues, so it doesn't shift above third gear. So we've got to figure that out. We've got to pull it out. I have the overhaul kit and everything ready. Me and Nash just have to learn how to do it, basically. But we just got to pull it out. It's probably just it's called clutch packs, so it's just a steel and a friction over and over again, but some of those will break or burn out, and then you got to replace everything. So we probably got to take that out. But as far as that's probably the next thing up on mine. Other than that, once that's fixed, mainly we're focusing on cooling those bigger engines because we all have V8s.
Okay.
Tanner's and Blake's are 5.3 liters. Mine and Nash's are 6.0s. Okay. So they take a little bit more gas, but they also create more heat. So we're trying to upgrade like the radiator, make it aluminum, make it a little bit lighter. That way it's not taking up so much gas, and that way it can last in kind of the hot summer.
Yeah.
Because we have a terrible summer here, obviously. But
we'll have a good one this year. You know, we'll have water.
Oh, I hope so, yeah. Nice. Jeez. As long as I can take an actual shower. Well, yeah, we run on a well down at the ranch. So down at the ranch where I live, they sold all the water for irrigation.
Right.
So they didn't even give us enough irrigation to keep our hard cap. So our well I think there was 2 feet left. So I was taking like one shower every 3 days kind of thing.
Brutal.
I had to kind of like chill out on the training. That way I didn't smell so bad, you know?
Yeah, you didn't want to get infections.
Yeah. So I was trying to kind of chill out on the training. And, but yeah, that got a little rough. But since it rained so much, then we're doing good. So,
yeah.
It's helped a lot.
Hopefully you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't train that hard if you smell that bad.
No one wants to train with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is all involved with Adventure Friends Go? You kind of touched on a couple of them, but what's the full roster, full names?
Yeah, as of right now, it's Nash Woods. He's kind of the head, like, technician planner kind of guy. He knows a lot more than we do, so he just kind of tells us what to buy and we throw it on. Tanner... I mean, me, Tanner, and Blake are all kind of in the same spot. We're learning, and we just got bought vehicles to kind of be able to go out with Nash and camp and stuff like that. Right. The overall arcing view arcing idea of the channel is to show people that you don't have to buy a $50,000 Toyota Tacoma or $60,000 Jeep to be able to make it somewhere and have a good time and camp and do your thing.
Yeah.
But also... because some people, like, even the rooftop tents, rooftop tents can be $4,500, you know? Yeah. And they don't need to be that much. I mean, like, since I have the longer one, I'm just going to throw an air mattress back in the back and camp, you know? Right. And we're going to kind of review, like, parts and tools and camping gear and stuff like that, just to show people that you don't have to spend that much money. And we'll show them, like, yeah, this one was actually terrible. Don't buy this one. It was only $60, so we're not worried about it. But you should probably buy the more expensive one.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
You guys will be like little guinea pigs.
Yeah, and they kind of want to branch out as well. So that's what's cool about having the name AFG is because we can do like Adventure Friends gaming, right? Adventure Friends, like diving and things like that, you know. So, and Blake is also certified scuba diver, right? So he can actually like take cool videos and do that kind of thing. So it's cool because we can actually branch out and do a lot of different stuff. It doesn't just have to be off-roading, you know. And it's just fun to kind of get your friends together and try to build something together. It's a very low-cost thing to do. It doesn't take a lot to run a YouTube channel. You know? You just need like an iPhone, maybe a GoPro. Obviously, you can upgrade and get better stuff, but to start off, you don't have to have that much. Just to build something with your friends is really cool.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, you guys have that cool little group together, and you guys are, I mean, very similar personalities where you guys are just laid back, you know, kind of chill dudes that are just like, hey, let's just go camping and have fun, you know?
Oh yeah. We're not very high maintenance, that's for sure.
No, not at all. We just need a car to work on and some buddies.
Oh right? Yeah. Sometimes it gets kind of hard to like, because Nash is having another baby, and so he's got one already and then one on the way. So he's obviously got to spend more time at the house,
right?
Which he should, obviously, you know. But sometimes that makes it a little bit harder to get everyone out at the same time. That's why most videos there's only like one or two of us. Some of the garage ones there's all of us, but very rarely we all are able to get together and go out somewhere, just because everybody has lives. Yeah. So
we'll get camping trips done this summer again. So we'll definitely have some footage from that for your channel. So that'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
And just to touch on the naming of things, you know, I'm kind of doing this similar with Run to Danger. You know, I want to kind of branch off, do a Run to Danger book. I want to do a Run to Danger podcast. Obviously, that's what we're doing now. The Run to Danger channel, Run to Danger brand, kind of all-encompassing. Tanner and I, you know, I want to call the promotion, you know, Run to Danger promotion for the tournaments and stuff. So we kind of have that cool theme and bring everything back to, you know, the root. And I'll have Dad on and he can kind of talk to why we call it Run to Danger, why we have that motto, because that kind of started as almost a challenge to his wrestlers when he first took over, that, you know, hey, we're going to take you to the best places, and, you know, you're going to have to run to danger to get good. So
that's cool.
That's kind of the underlying motto to it. But going from that, I wanted to talk about One Roll and how you came up with the name of One Roll.
So me and Tanner kind of go back and forth a little bit. He says he made up the name, right? I was sitting down trying to figure out a name for probably 3 to 4 months, because obviously that kind of thing matters. Right? Yeah. You can always like re-logo, but you can't really rename, right? It's hard to rename. Like Nike's never going to change to Nick Hay, right? It's not going to change. Right. So you can change the look of things, but it's hard to change the actual name. So I was really taking some time and trying to figure things out. And it was really hard with clothing because there's a lot of smaller clothing companies. And you don't want to get caught in that section where somebody has a trademark of your same name, but you don't have yours, so you have to change your entire name and the whole thing. So I didn't want to get caught up in that. So right when I started, I wanted to find a name and then immediately file for a trademark. That way it could definitely be mine, you know. So I went through a couple names. I was thinking like Adept or Titan, or there was a couple other ones that was kind of floating around. And I even built logos for them and stuff, but I was looking for other clothing brands or other equipment brands with the same name, and they kept on popping up, like one in Canada, one in here, blah blah blah. It was kind of a pain, but then I was thinking of something. I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I was thinking of And One, like the basketball brand. Yeah. And I was like kind of writing down brand names and trying to like mix them together and trying to make my own. And then Tanner says he walked up behind me and said, "What about One Roll?" And then I ended up naming it that, but I don't think that's how it went. You'll have to talk to him next time. But Yeah, I don't know. That's still kind of up in the air. But yeah, I picked one roll just because, like, when you're really tired, right? And I like brands that the name actually means something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what Nike means. I don't know what Adidas means.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of that means.
Right.
But like your brand, for instance, Run to Danger, promotes courage, promotes, like just putting your head down and kind of whatever happens, happens. I got to do it anyways. And so one roll kind of has that persona of just kind of putting your head down and just go one roll at a time. That's why I named it that.
Okay.
And that was the kind of the
first
basis.
concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I came up with that name, I was like, yeah, that's kind of a good motto.
Yeah.
But one thing I will give to Tanner, he did create the slogan. He did 100% create the slogan. That's
the solvent of all.
Yeah, that was his. Yeah, for sure. But I still don't know about the name.
We'll give you credit for the name. He can take the slogan.
Yeah, that's fine.
Divvy it up.
But yeah, Tanner was nice enough to kind of let me run with it and let me do my thing, which was cool. I mean, he could have obviously been like, hey, why don't we do this, and kind of put himself in there. But he said, hey, this is your thing. Why don't you go do it? I kind of want to see, what you can do and how it'll work. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it by myself, which was fine. I kind of wanted to do my own thing because me and him have been doing the gym thing for so long.
Right.
I wanted to switch it up just a little bit and just kind of figure out a different way to be in the same world, but be a different piece of it, right? Because me and him have always been head instructors of the same gym, right? And kind of bouncing off of each other, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it's good to kind of step away from family sometimes, or step away from the current situation.
Right.
That way you kind of get to experience something new for your own life and for your own head,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's important, I think, to have your own niche and have something that you're passionate about and
be able to have something that's like, yeah, that's 100% mine.
Right.
Like that's what I did.
Yeah.
Right. It's good to have like some sort of ownership.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. And then speaking of ownership, you kind of headlined and started the Red Bluff gym for Rice Brothers, and just kind of talk me through like how that happened. I know it was kind of gifted to the brothers, but just go ahead and tell the story of it.
Sure, yeah. So we had an offer on the table. One of the guys that comes to the gym is pretty successful in Red Bluff, and his family owns some commercial properties. And there was this small commercial property that had just opened that he had owned, and right across the street from the airport. So there was like minimal road exposure, but there was like a pretty popular restaurant right across the street. So people still got to see the front of the building, which was nice. But he just said he wanted a place to train in his town because he didn't want to drive every day 40 minutes to come up to Reading and train. So he's like, yeah, if you guys want, you guys can open a small gym here. Rent will be pretty easy. Like, I'm not worried about making a bunch of money off you. It's just, I just want to have a place to train in town. Right. And I don't have to leave. And so we said, okay. It was just hard because we didn't want to split up at that moment in time. That moment in time, we had only been in the building that we're currently in now for Reading for about like 6 or 8 months.
Oh, wow.
So it was still pretty new, and we were still kind of struggling with bills and whatnot. And so we were trying to find somebody to go down there and teach for us rather than splitting us up, And so we had our buddy Cameron go down there. We opened up the gym. It didn't cost us too much. It was the overall upfront cost was probably like $6,000. Probably. It wasn't too bad. We found the mats were pretty cheap. We did some remodeling ourselves. We kind of kept the cost pretty low, so it was okay. Rent was pretty cheap, so we were like, yeah, we just need like 10 or 15 students, and it's not bad, So we got to that like 25, 30 student mark, and it was pretty nice, and we were able to pay the guy, and he was actually able to stay there as well because there's like a up top loft area that he was able to live in, and there were showers and stuff. So he was staying down there and just kind of teaching and getting paid, and then he ended up moving away, so I had to go down there for a year, I think. And then I found another person to come down and teach, and then I went back up to Reading, just because Reading was starting to get so much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, daily we usually have between 35 and 50 kids on the mat at a time.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're being modest. It's more like 50 to 80.
Yeah, so we needed me up there for paperwork and
Mm-hmm.
teaching kids and all that. So I had to find another replacement. So my buddy Greg was also lives in Red Bluff. He was able to come in and start teaching. He's a brown belt.
Mm-hmm.
Nice guy. He has a little bit more 18 and up podcast.
Randomnicity.
Yeah, randomness. Yeah.
For you older folks that
Yeah.
like some crude humor, it's a great
Yeah. They're a little rough around the edges for sure.
So Greg's kind of heading it up right now. Him and Clint Lacey
Yep.
are the kind of head instructors over there.
Yeah, Clint usually teaches a lot of the kids' classes, especially if Greg has to be somewhere. And then Greg usually takes care of the adults. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing a good job.
Yeah, they are.
And it's fun to see them. You know, it's fun how our gyms are literally 20 minutes away, kind of.
Yeah.
Where it's like we see each other, we go to both gyms, you know.
Yeah, you're able to bounce back and forth if you want to. I mean, the Red Bluff guys, there's not a whole lot of them, so you don't. I mean, it's not like jumping into a completely different world, but it is cool to have 5 or 10 different training partners now if you just drive 25 minutes. You know?
For sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, no, it helps. It helps get those different looks from different guys.
Yeah, yeah. And there's going to be, we're working on actually putting a boxing program down there for kids and women as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the instructor personally yet. I have to meet her, but she is going to be trying to teach some kids and just some females some just basic self-defense, boxing, stuff like that. Probably within the next couple months. We're kind of working out the details, but yeah, it should be pretty cool. And it's always cool to have like a gym that's able to offer you everything that you need to be like an MMA fighter or whatever you need to be, you know?
Right.
And that's what's cool about Reading. We don't have all the resources yet down in Red Bluff, but we have all the resources up in Reading to build like a legitimate MMA fighter if anybody wanted to, which is cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the new spot. I mean, it's just going to be, like you said, one-stop shop. We'll have weightlifting, we'll have showers, we'll have you know, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, gi, no gi, whatever you want.
Whatever you want
we'll
to do.
have it.
Yeah,
Kickboxing,
whatever you want to do.
Boxing.
Only thing we don't have yet is judo. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Other than that, we've got kickboxing, the whole 9 yards. So
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool. I mean, even Red Bluff, though it's small, it has a lot of those things as well. It has a small little weight room, small little
it's just
shower,
a little bit smaller.
But everything you need though.
Yeah.
And that's really cool that, you know, and some great knowledgeable guys. I mean, Greg and Clint are, you know, two of our best competitors. They go after it.
And, they've been training for a long time too.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for a while. But yeah, it's cool to have like an area where it's like, wow, this is like I can do whatever I want. I can be because we've built multiple world champion jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, you've built quite a few amazing wrestlers that are high level collegiate. I mean, it's cool to have a place to kind of sit down and go, okay, I can do kind of like 8 different things if I want to.
Right.
All these lanes are open.
Yeah, there's so many knowledge sources like you were touching on. I mean, you got Daniel Arzate doing the boxing program. You got Cole Dixon doing the kickboxing. You got, you know, me doing wrestling and no gi, and then you and Tanner heading up the gi program. It's like, well, there's some
wherever you want to go,
elite guys that are giving you knowledge and yeah, it's just gonna be a lot of fun.
It's cool to get all of the best people in the town as well. So like when we were younger, before we even moved into the current building now, so I was probably 16. We were hitting up some local MMA guys and submission wrestling guys, but they were good, but they weren't like, you know, they couldn't take you wherever you wanted to go, you know? And we wanted to build a spot together. That way everyone could come in. We just all kind of bounce students off of each other and, you know, just share a space. It didn't end up working out because, as you know, in the combat sports instruction world, there's a lot of flighty people, right? There's a lot of, I mean, especially in jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of like surfer dude type instructors, and they're very flighty. They're not very like structured, right? They don't show up perfectly on time. They don't show up early.
Right.
They usually show up a little bit late, and they're kind of when they're with their instruction, you know.
Yeah.
And so it didn't end up working out, but as time goes on, we're slowly like collecting the best people out of the town, right? So we've got Chase, we've got you, we've got Daniel Arzate, we've got Cole, we're starting to grab all of the best people in the town and putting them in one spot to be able to build whoever they want.
Yeah.
Right?
And on top of that, you are also building coaches in the way that you want them to coach. And
In the
that's
process.
what's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like Longo, I think, has made probably the biggest strides I've seen of a kid from 15 to 22, where he's at now.
Definitely.
Like when he was 15, he was nowhere close to the same person. I mean, literally, he couldn't, run and chew gum at the same time.
No way.
But now it's like he gets the better of me some rounds, and it's like that kid was not that kid, you know.
And not to
ago.
mention he's been doing really well as an instructor too. Like
He's a great instructor.
I helped him with a little kids class the other day, and I used to basically teach him how to teach. Like he was my assistant for the little kids class. And the way I ran things was a little bit more serious, a little bit more structured. I was a little bit tougher on the kids. But as like time moves on, you kind of have to adapt, right? I don't like doing that very much sometimes.
None of us do.
Yeah, I can't like, I don't know. I don't have a goofy switch that I can turn on, you know?
Right.
Longo has a great goofy switch. He can turn it on whenever he wants. And so I was kind of sitting there and I was watching him teach little kids class the other day. And I was like, wow, I think he's better at teaching little kids than I am now. Because there's no way I could do this.
Yeah.
And he's building like these little games for the kids to play. And he's making it easy for them to understand for warm-ups and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I would have never done that.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not doing a push-up correct. Like, keep doing them until you figure it out kind of thing. And so I watched him actually become a better kids teacher than I am, you know, and it was actually really cool to see. I was like, wow, he's better than I am now.
No, he's very good, very good teacher. And it's cool because he's so good at, like you said, turning that goofy switch on, but then he'll be able to like be like hard instructor right away. Like he can laugh with a kid and then reprimand him in the same sentence, and the kid will respect him for that and love him for his goofiness.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's great to have him, and then it really sets the tone as these kids get older and grow into the more expert classes, because they know the routine, they know what's right and wrong from what he's showing, and yeah, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, it's a lot less awakening when they move into the next class, because then it's like, okay, it's like the same, but this teacher's a little bit less goofy.
Right.
So it's like not as happy-go-lucky, like I'm supposed to try a little bit harder now.
Right.
Know?
Yeah.
Which is a lot easier transition than going, oh, this is fun, to, all right, we're going to try to kick each other's butt now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that you guys do really well, is simulating the live match in practice. And I wanted you to talk about, I don't even know what you guys call it, but when you circle up and you guys have the kids go and everyone's screaming, but it's so cool. And I hadn't seen that before. I mean, we would have challenge matches in high school, right, where you trying to get a spot, and the kids would just kind of be quiet on the side, and maybe dad would give them a workout or a coach would give them a workout, and we'd do a workout while they were doing a dual match, or not a dual match, but a challenge match. So just talk about how you guys came up with that concept.
That was Tanner. I mean, we've always, which is kind of funky. So I used to be in Tanner's kids class a long time ago. And so even when I was a kid, Tanner used to have this thing where there was two teams, right? He just calls out two people, you grapple in the middle, both teams coach you, so you're getting kind of the screaming. But now he started to do this thing where he almost circles the kids up like it's almost like a schoolyard fight, right? So all these kids like circle up and they're screaming and they're taking bets or whatever, right? And they're screaming at their partners, coaching him, and he goes, okay, this half coach these guys, this half coach these guys. But it's a little bit more intense because he scooted them closer. And so now the volume is there, and then you're just like going as hard as you can because you're trying to beat the kid in front of you. But then it simulates tournaments just because not everyone's yelling at you in a tournament, right? Which this position kind of helps because not everyone's yelling at you, but imagine if everyone was yelling at you.
Right.
You have to pick the right voice to listen to and then actually follow the instructions, right? But in tournaments, it's a little bit less extreme because most people are coaching somebody else.
Right.
Because there's usually 6 to 12 mats, right? So
And
all of these coaches are screaming. Yeah, and these guys, they're so close, and you have 8 or 10 different voices screaming your name and telling you what to do.
And they're your
but
friends.
you have to, you have to defer what is correct, and you go, okay, I'm going to listen to him because he's a higher belt or he kicks my butt all the time. So I'm going to listen to him and I'm going to do what he's saying. Right. And so it helps them, like, in that scenario, it's more extreme than what a tournament would be. The nerves aren't the same. The nerves are a little bit less just because you actually know who you're grappling with, right? Tournaments, they can be a lot more intense just because you have no idea what the other guy does, right? But this practice helps them just go, okay, now I can learn how to turn my friend into a super extreme like position. I know how to turn my friend into kind of like an enemy, right? Because now these guys are screaming at me, and now I have to fight, right?
Yeah.
So now when they go to grapple in regular practice, right, without the kids circled up, when they go and they grapple regularly, when everybody's grappling, they're able to kind of flip that on and go, okay, it's time to roll, right? It's time to go as hard as I can. And it just kind of helps them like turn that switch on where it goes, okay, this is 100%. You know?
And how do you? I mean, that's a great way to turn a kid's nerves off, I think, and get into that game set. But what I've found hard is like, how do you teach a kid to be mean? Like how I found that's one of the hardest things to actually teach.
Very hard.
But it's so crucial, and not to be cheap and not to be just to be mean. I think is such an advantage in martial arts where if like even like smack talkers and like I don't like that kind of stuff, but like just being able to play just little games like that, whether it be a little bit harder of an elbow push off or your chin digging in or something just or a head club, wrestling is famous for just hard head clubs. Like that's been, for me as a coach, it's been hard to like teach a kid to, really dig down and get that mean grit. And it was always hard for me, especially with like my friends. Like you talked about like how to treat your friend as an enemy during that time. But it was so hard for me to turn that switch when I had to wrestle one of my buddies, even if he was on the other team. Like I couldn't get to that level of where I needed to be the prime competitor that I could be. So how do you kind of like get the niceness out of these kids?
It's so hard. I mean, for me to like tell you how to do it, I wouldn't be able to. I have no idea. Sometimes it depends on the kid, right? So you have 2 boys. I mean, I'm sure you know that each kid is a whole lot different, right? My dad had 5 boys, and he always told me, he's like, there's no rule book for each one. Like each one, they're completely different. They respond to things differently, blah, blah, blah. So one kid, if you scream at him a bunch, he might do whatever you need him to do, right? But one kid, if you scream at him a lot, he might hate you. And then a different kid, if you scream at him a lot, he might just sit there and cry. Right? He might just break down. So some kids run on support. Some kids run on, pressure. And some kids run on a little bit more anger, right? But there's no telling which way a kid goes, right? It's super hard. But I think wrestling is more successful in that area, teaching a kid how to go harder. Because you guys are so... it's very like bulldoggy, right? It's very head to head.
Stalemate.
There's no like, okay, I'm gonna grab and hold him wherever I need him to be, right? In wrestling, it's very like, we're gonna go at it until I can get you on the ground, right? There's no breaks, there's no stops, there's no nothing. But in jiu-jitsu, like if I grab a hold of you, especially me being my size and you're so small, not you're not that small, but if I'm grabbing a hold of you, I can go, okay, I can keep him away from my legs and I can stand here for a second, relax. But the wrestling, there's nothing like that. Right. You have to go.
Right.
So wrestling is, I think, is more successful in that area just because it forces kids to keep moving and keep going, right? This kid's going to keep going and keep trying to kill me because I can't keep him still, right? And so you have to learn how to fight with that. And Nogi, I think, builds a little bit more aggression in kids as well because it's like grabbing, cupping, you have to wrap the head, you have to grab a chin, you have to do all of that. In the gi, like I can grab just your sleeves, I don't even have to touch you, and I can put my feet on your hips and I can kind of relax for a second, right? So it's less I don't want to say violent, it's less aggressive, right? But it is more meticulous, right? There's a lot of things you can do using the gi. So there's so many like different options that you can do.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to get out of every single grip. I mean, each grip is different. Whether your hand is here or over the top like this, it can change the whole thing, right? So it's a lot more meticulous, but it's also a lot less, it doesn't build that same fight, right? Even me, I was a black belt already, and I did a couple of Chase's wrestling classes. I was like, Jesus. This is like,
he's coming after me.
This is no joke. Like,
yeah, especially
me like sitting in a stance, walking around, like this is terrible. This hurts, you know. And then he has you go in the middle, and the only way that you can get out is if you get taken down, right? Me having the pride that I do as a black belt, and it's my gym, I have to try to make sure I don't get taken down,
right?
Which gets crazy exhausting, but you just duke it out the whole time. And I think that's why I personally have a more harder time in Nogi, because I can't go from 0 to 100 that fast. But Nogi, there's no choice.
Right.
Like you kind of have to.
You got to sprint.
Yeah. There's no there's no warm up. In the gi, you can grab a hold of the person and you can move around and kind of feel the person out. If they start going crazy, then it kind of helps you ramp up, right? But Nogi, it's like all or nothing, or you're going to get choked out.
All out.
Yeah, so it's like 100% right off the bat. And I have a hard time with that. So I would say that's why I think wrestling is more successful in that area. But for jiu-jitsu and building kids with a little bit more grit, sometimes kids are just built with grit, right? They're made with grit. But I think sometimes it's also like where they're raised, So if you're in the city, if you're in the big city and you're playing video games all the time, or you're watching YouTube videos or whatever, you're going to be a little bit less aggressive than like if a kid were to be outside running around, wrestling with a dog, like, doing just kid things,
right.
I think those kids are definitely, that helps put grit in a kid, because they realize that, you're going to get bumped, you're going to get scratched, you're going to get thrown into briar bushes, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't live that way, then I think it's a little bit harder to put that into a kid.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. I mean, we were just out on the property kind of touring everything, and, you kind of saw where I grow up, and it was just like kids' playground, and you had the same opportunities. I mean, our fathers were very similar in the way that I think they raised us, and their values of how they wanted to raise sons.
I think so, yeah.
And I think with having property was like a huge priority for both of them. Having land was like, we got to have our land, like and a good amount of it, so our kids can, flourish and
so you can do stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And we're so blessed to live where we live. I always say, I mean, it gets 110 in the summer and it keeps the population down, so that's nice as well. And we got a nice river to cool off in, so I'm good with it. I like the heat, so I don't really care.
Oh yeah.
But I love our our upbringing, and how our parents raised us, because we, our dads were just like, yeah, go play in the creek, go shoot your bow, go, right? You were homeschooled for the majority of your life, and and that gave you even more opportunity to go do those things and learn with your hands, and learn different kind of manly things, and you turned out brilliant. Like, you're a very smart kid. Talk about like what that was like, just kind of being left to your own devices and going out on the property and growing up as a homeschool kid?
Yeah, so when I was, how old was I? So I was 7. I was 7 when we moved up to Reading.
Mm-hmm.
My grandpa always had his ranch where I live now, and I would spend every weekend with him. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday night until Sunday morning. We would come back Sunday morning. I would spend with my grandpa. And I was homeschooled through my grandpa until I was, well, yeah, until I was 7. So second grade. And it's kind of funny. So this will kind of show you guys like the power of homeschool, right? And how it can help get a kid to get things done. So my grandpa gave me a piece of paper with all of the times tables listed through 12, right? So through 12 times 12.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he did is he gave me that piece of paper. It was just a table. And then he's like, okay, you have until next weekend to memorize all this. I was like, okay. And so I memorized all of it, took the test or whatever. He didn't follow any sort of curriculum. It was kind of his own thing. And by the time I was in second grade, I had those memorized. And I went to school until the beginning of 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And kids, even in 8th grade, had no idea what like the times tables were. Like they would have to sit down and write it down and figure it out. But it was like, dude, you should have this like in your head.
Yeah.
Like, like 7 times 6 is 42.
Right.
It's not that, it's not that big of a deal. And the fact that I knew that so young, I had that memorized by the time I was 7.
Yeah.
It kind of showed you like how much progress that you can make if you just stay at home and do it by yourself.
Right.
You don't have to go to a classroom of 32 kids and get distracted by kids that aren't so great, and not do your schoolwork and go through all these processes that you don't have to do. You can still learn a crazy amount at a young age just by sitting down and doing it with even a loved one, right? Mm-hmm. But also like being outside and learning how to do things, that was cool. But when I was a kid, I was so young because we moved up to Reading when I was 7, but I got to spend every weekend down there. I learned a lot about like fishing and things like that because my grandpa focused on like hobbies more so because he only saw us on the weekends.
Right.
So he focused on hobbies more so than anything else. Like we helped him in the garden. We learned how to garden and fish and hunt and all that kind of stuff. But even just doing that on the weekends, just going outside and doing stuff, it helped you a lot,
Mm-hmm.
We worked a little bit. Like I knew how to work on cars a little bit when I was younger. Mm-hmm. My grandpa and my dad used to flip classical cars, like Camaros and Challengers and all that kind of thing. But I was so little, they just made me do body work. Mm-hmm. So I would just like sand Bondo and stuff like that. I never worked on the engine because I had no idea what I was doing, and it was too analytical, I guess. And you could lose stuff, and it's just a pain.
Yeah.
So that was cool to kind of learn about that. That's why even now, like through this YouTube channel that we started, I've been learning a lot more about engines and stuff. I've always known about bodywork, but nothing about the inside. Mm. And so I'm getting able to learn a little bit more about that, which is cool. But being outside and doing our thing when we were kids, it builds like some fantastic memories. Like, for instance, if you imagine if you were a kid in like the suburbs or something, like what kind of memories would you have? Like probably a board game.
Yeah, or like make basketball at a park or
maybe
like that.
Right?
Yeah.
But like for instance, when I was a kid, me and my grandpa and my older brother Sam would go down to the creek and fish early in the morning. But we would catch these pike, which are just bad for the creek. And so we would throw it up on the bank, and then we would come down the next morning, and it was all gone. And so I got to ask my grandpa what took them and blah, 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 just coyotes, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But just like having those memories in your head is super cool. Like even bad ones. Like my brother Sam was swimming around in the creek. I was skipping rocks at the same time. Pops his head up. I hit him right in the top of the head, and he just kind of falls back, and I see blood in the water, and I start crying. I'm like 5 or 6. He starts crying, I start crying. I'm like, what did I do? Blah, blah, blah. I thought I killed him. And we'd go back up to the ranch, and then my grandpa like super glues it and puts a little butterfly bandage on it. Even bad memories like that, they're still like pretty fantastic, you know? And like even me like swimming around, because sometimes we wouldn't go down to the creek if it was irrigation season. So I would just swim around the irrigation ditch when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Or catch crawdads out of the irrigation ditch or like anything like that.
Yeah.
So having those memories are definitely like a lot more valuable than talking about a board game.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
or something
playing
that's
video
like
games or something. Yeah.
you won't remember a board game as much as that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know. And so even like the hunting stuff, like I wasn't a big hunter. My brother Sam loved it. He like got raccoons. He taught a dog how to hunt, like whole 9 yards. Only hunting I did was more so like maybe a ground squirrel or something like that. But like one morning we went down and we built this hog cage for the garden because there was a couple pigs that were just tearing everything up. And so we put that hog cage down there, and my grandpa's like researching how to make bait, right? And so he's researching how to make bait, and he's putting corn and like flour, water, yeast all together, and he was like fermenting it. And then my dad comes in, he's like, Dad, isn't that like alcohol basically? And he's like, yeah, it kind of smells like it. And he's like, yeah, it looks like you're making alcohol for a pig. And he's like, oh, we're going to see how it works. So we try it for like a week or two. My brother goes down there to go into the garden to pick something. And then he runs back, or he drives the quad back up, and he's like, Grandpa, we got one, blah, 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 blah. And then, so we go down, but he's like, it's acting kind of funky. Right? He's like, it's kind of like sniffing the edge of the cage, and it's like kind of pushing its head into the side, right? And my grandpa's like, oh, that's weird. And we get the gun ready, and we go down there, and the pig's dead from alcohol poisoning. And it's just laying there. And I get all excited. I was like, this is going to be like real bacon, and like, this is going to be really cool. And so I was like, Grandpa, do we get to eat it? He's like, I don't think you can. And so we just bury it in the same garden that it was messing up.
Oh, no.
But stuff like that, like it'll never leave your mind.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Making memories outside, I feel like, is easier than making memories inside. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Dad, we would always put crawdad traps off that bridge.
Oh, yeah.
So during the summer, we'd put tuna and like just some smelly stuff in there, and crawdads crawl in there. And one year Dad put an aquarium in the yard and like raised them. Yeah. And we were feeding them carrots and all kinds of stuff, and they would just eat whatever.
Oh yeah.
They were getting big, like they got pretty big, like they were looking like little mini lobsters, kind of like little, like like not huge, but like they had some bigger claws than the normal ones, and we ended up having a nice fry and fish frying.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We did the same thing for the irrigation, because the irrigation comes from, I can't remember, I think it's Shasta Lake or something. The irrigation comes through like canals and stuff. But yeah, we would throw a couple traps in the irrigation. We catch a few. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would spend hours in that creek just up and down, just looking for crawdads and pollywogs. And
super fun.
Being a kid. Yeah, like you said, it's great memories. So I wanted to go back to One Roll. Why do you hate Keenan so much?
I would never say I hate Keenan, because he'd probably kick me. But me personally, I'm not a huge fan of lapel guard. I think it makes jiu-jitsu more boring than it already is, right? It's gi jiu-jitsu isn't so much a spectator sport, because if you don't know what you're looking at, then it's hard to have a good time watching it. It's getting a little bit better because you're getting these crazy cool athletes, and they're doing all this crazy stuff, and they're making it super entertaining. But sometimes they'll get wrapped up in a lapel, and then it'll just all shut off. And then you're just kind of sitting there battling for inches and grips, and it turns in. It doesn't turn boring for somebody that knows what's going on, but for somebody that doesn't know what's going on, they're like, wow, they're not moving at all. But they are moving. It's just very small, right? In general, I think it's just kind of bad for the sport. And Keenan, obviously, he is good at what he does. And he was able to build a following on top of it, and he also had entertaining matches, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But he did it in a different way than everybody else did. So a lot of times people use it to kind of halt the person and keep them from moving, and then they tie them up so much where they can finally make them fall over, right? Keenan did it in a very meticulous way where it was like, I have your lapel, but I'm not completely wrapping you up yet because he has such a good guard. He's great guard recovery. He was able to have a lapel grip, but not like wrap it anywhere and still be able to keep his guard. So it still kept it moving and entertaining.
Right.
But then once he was ready to sweep, then he would wrap it up and then get it done and put you down, right? But these guys, they wrap it up right away, and then people kind of lean back and forth and blah, blah, blah. And then finally...
It like 50-50.
Yeah, finally they put him down, and then that's it. So I just think it's not so great for the sport, the way people use it now. He used it different than anybody else.
Right.
Like, he was by far, like, godfather of lapel guard, no doubt about it. People have been using lapels, but not the same way he did. But the way he did it was more entertaining than everybody else, so which made it okay with me. But then the way people use it now is just kind of,
So you don't hate Keenan, but
no, not at all.
You hate boring matches.
Yeah, I just don't think it's good for the sport in general.
No, for sure. And that's what has been so puzzling for me is our regulators of our sports are hurting our sport a lot, and it sucks because we have, I think, two of the best sports in wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and the regulators are just doing it for some odd reason. They like control and they like the way things have always been or something, but there's so many things that are just unmarketable about what we're doing because of rule sets and rules and the way we're going about things. It's so frustrating because like I was saying, it's just, I think it's two of the best sports. When you practice our sports, you get something that no other sports give you. You get a personal achievement because it is personal. It is, your goal setting, and you're hitting your goal in the same very practice. You're practicing that one move, and then you go hit that move, and you've achieved that goal of the day, and you get that, that endorphin rush. And it's nothing else. So it's so frustrating that the rules and the regulators or whoever's running everything is kind of hurting us. And I don't know if there's a way to make it more mainstream, or if we're just forever just going to be the way it is,
So the way that I would explain it, it would basically I would say there's probably, let's just say 10 people that have complete control over the IBJJF and everything that happens, right? Now, those 10 people, if they make the sport more legitimate, right, it'll open up the sport to sponsors like Nike, Adidas, these big time, like, what's the other one for the Olympics? So Omega, I think. It'll open these huge sponsorships for the sport if it was more legitimate. But what happens is once you open up a sport to that much money, what happens is those guys start creating their own federation and start making the sport of jiu-jitsu, basically taking it away from those 10 guys, right? So if they make the sport too legitimate, then too much money will come into it, and then they won't be able to control it anymore. Yeah, they'll be done. Now, what also bugs me is the whole roid thing, right? Roids in jiu-jitsu are very frustrating. I've fought a few guys that were on them, and it was like, geez, dude, like.
Have you ever taken anything?
Huh?
Have you ever taken anything?
Oh God, no.
Neither has Tanner, right? You guys
are
both fairly clean athletes.
But yeah, I'm on potatoes and beef. Like I'm
on mom's home cooking.
yeah. Cottonwood beef. That's all I got.
Yeah.
But
Same. I don't like it at all. I hate the steroids.
Well, it's just like when you fight somebody that's on it, you feel it immediately, and you're like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, there's no way this is real.
Right.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when I was 15, I was pretty up and coming blue belt. And I was still a kid though, but I was hopping into the adult divisions. I've fought adults my whole life, all the time, since I was a kid, and I've never felt like an adult like this. Right? I was fighting in a tournament, and I was like, dude, what is going on? Like, I can't move this guy at all. Yeah. Like, I try to lift him, and he feels like he weighs more than everybody else. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Right.
He grabs me, and I can't break any grip. I'm like, there's no way this is real. This is ridiculous. And I'm trying to knock him down. I get disqualified for a ridiculous reason. And I get disqualified, and he freaks out because I was an up-and-coming blue belt. He got all excited, which is fine.
Yeah.
He just screams. He's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Takes his gi off, pimples all over his back. And I'm like, oh, my God, dude. And I was like, now it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
But it sucks because when you feel it, you're like, dude, this isn't fair. And it also kind of sucks because people admire these people for being so good at jiu-jitsu, which they are. Fantastic at jiu-jitsu. Not taking anything away from them because they have to work extremely hard. And it takes more than what I've got, probably.
Right. Their skill is not diminished from it, but it's their strength adds to their skill.
Yeah. And I feel like the strength isn't even the biggest plus to roids, right? So the biggest plus to roids is being able to train 3 times a day and not hurt, right? So if I train twice a day and I work out once, by the end of a 4-day week, I'm wrecked. Toast. Like, I'm done. Yeah. I got to take 3 days off so I can get back in the game because I'm like, it'll mess with like my mood because my whole body hurts. And then I'm pissed off at my girlfriend or something, and then it just like it stacks on, right? And then you don't have enough energy to do paperwork or your regular job or whatever.
Yeah, anything.
And it just kills you, right?
Yeah.
But then these guys are so good at jiu-jitsu, you're like, wow, this guy's really good. But then you have to remember, you're like, if he's on roids, he can train 3 times a day and get crazy good at jiu-jitsu and not be in pain.
Right.
Because the recovery is outrageous.
Right.
So you're sitting there and you go, I think I'm doing okay, but I just can't train that much. Like, it just kills you. Right. There's no way. So, and then your fingers get all messed up and the whole 9 yards. So I think that's the main benefit of doing it. Strength obviously helps.
Right.
But, like, bigger people, when you take roids, like, everyone's strong when you're a little bit bigger, right? Smaller guys, they'll get stronger than the other smaller guys, but they'll also be able to train more than them. So they'll be even better. Right. So it's like, dude, I can't. This is an uphill battle. Right.
If
I win, it's fantastic. But if I don't win, then it's like, man, I can't. It's hard to do it, you know. But yeah, there's not much you can do. But especially going on to the IBJJF just took away steroid testing, the even little bit that they did. Because I think they only did like...
So was that legit or is that an April Fool's thing?
I don't know.
Because Mika just got popped, right?
But I think that was for Worlds.
Oh, so they did it retro.
That might have been April Fool's.
Yeah, because it was.
I hope it wasn't.
I'm not
sure. Or I hope it was.
Because it was like on the 31st. Like Tanner sent it to me the night before.
Oh, okay.
April 1st. So I was thinking maybe.
I hope it is.
But I didn't know.
God, I hope it is.
I thought it was. I thought it could have been because then the Mika news came out after that. So I was like, oh, that was just April Fool's. So I'm not. I don't know.
God, I hope it's April Fool's.
Right.
They said they would halt all steroid testing. Right? You saw the post.
Yeah.
But even when they were doing steroid testing, I think they only tested 8 or 10 of the finalists of black belt.
And was it the finalists or was it even champion?
I think it was finals.
Okay.
Finalists.
Yeah.
Okay. So
just random.
Yeah, first or second of divisions. Okay. But it was 10 total, and I think there's 8 weight divisions. So I think there's 16 finalists. So you could even win and not get tested.
Right.
And which is, it's better than nothing, right? But it's also not enough because you could still slip through, right? It sucks. And also, like, a year off, a year suspension, it doesn't keep them from competing in other things, right? They could just go straight into the other, what is it, UAE, BJJF,
Yeah, whatever.
the United Arab Emirates Federation. They could go straight into that and do a bunch of Grand Slams, still keep their name out there, and still be roided out,
Right.
right?
Right.
And it's just annoying, especially, like, if you get caught, that just means that you were kind of dumb about it, right? Because they only test, like, at one point in the year. So if you just hop off of it at the right time, then you'll be fine.
Right.
Right. So you can do roids from white to black.
Right.
And then just keep doing it black, and then just stop at the right time and be fine, right?
Yeah. It's
so when they get caught, it's like, what were you doing?
Right.
Like,
Why?
just stop.
Yeah,
Like, take it off. What are you doing? So it's, it's just frustrating because you see the sport kind of go backwards in that area, and it just makes it less legit, but it keeps coming back to those 10 guys losing a little bit of control. Right. So.
Yeah, and I don't know how you stop it. I think you have to have a separate division where you're a clean athlete or not.
Yeah.
I think we're getting to that point just because it is so prevalent in our sport. And it's needed. I think it'd be cool to see actual real athletes going at it, you know, and testing their will. But it's disheartening because it feels like everyone's on it and everyone's doing it. And it's just like, what kind of example are you showing when you're saying, yeah, you need something synthetic to be at the best. You know, you should be able to challenge. You're never going to be, and especially in our sports, there's no one who has been, you know, without a chink in their armor. I mean, Cale Sanderson's probably the only one that's come close to that, just being undefeated through high school and college, and that's, you know, never been done before or since. So that, I think that is the best, you know, example we have of the perfect athlete. But otherwise in our sport, it doesn't happen. You're gonna lose, right? You can never stay on top forever. So why not give yourself, you know, a chance to live longer, you know, be healthier, not gamble with your future, and I think it sets a bad example, you know.
Yeah, and I think since I was a kid, I was like in the top league, like in juvenile blue belt, and even when I was a kid, like, you saw this dominance happen, and you were like, there's no way that a 16-year-old kid looks like that and manhandles everyone.
Right.
Like, there's no way.
Right.
And so when I had won juvenile worlds, I was training 2 times a day, and then, like, maybe a couple times during the weekend when I had to kind of cool off before the next week started. So I was training a lot and was working out once or twice a day. When you're younger, you're able to do that and not hurt as bad, you know. And so I was killing it. I was doing a lot every day, but I looked nothing like the other champions in the juvenile division. So I was like, how do these kids look like this when I'm working as hard as I do?
Right.
I mean, my diet may have not been perfect, but it also wasn't bad enough to, like, not like offset it that much, you know? And so you saw these kids at like 16 years old fighting and just mopping everyone, and you're like, there's no way that you're just manhandling everyone like that. I mean, it doesn't happen, right? And then you'll see, like, their hands are bigger than adults, right? They've got veins, like, through their pecs, and you're like, are you seriously feeding this stuff to kids? Because, I mean, I've had to fight a couple of the kids that were, like, top notch, like, mopping everyone, and they were even smaller than I was, and I was like, dude, I can't move these kids. There's no way.
Yeah.
I got wrecked by one of them. I was like, dude, I can't touch this kid. Like, he's just manhandling me, and he's 2 weight divisions below me.
Yeah.
Like, how does that happen? And so you're sitting back, and you're like, are they really giving it to kids that are, like, under 18? You know, is that really happening right now? And you don't want to believe it.
Right.
And I've heard, like, through small, like, friend groups and, like, grapevines and things like that, like, kids moving to these, like, huge top-notch gyms, and then, like, we would ask them questions, and they would kind of give us a little bit of feedback and stuff. And so one of my buddies, I didn't actually end up asking this, but one of my buddies, he had a friend that moved to one of these top-notch gyms, and he's like, hey, so what's the deal? Like, do they train? Like, how do they train? Like, because they're just killing everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, to be honest with you, everybody, like, that you've heard of, like, all the top kids, like, the top guys, they're all on it. And it was like, dude, then we don't even have a shot. Like, this isn't even fair.
Yeah.
Especially at that point in time, because you're still growing up, and you're
Yeah.
still getting, you know, like, more man muscle and, like,
Uh-huh.
building. But those kids are so much more mature at that point because they just have, like, it's almost like you almost go forward in time if you take it in that point in your life, you know? Because then you have your man strength already.
Right.
So you're just killing these 16-year-old kids.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also disheartening when I was a kid, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that what kind of made me, like, look at everything. I don't use it as an excuse, really, because, I mean, you shouldn't use excuses when you lose, but when you do lose to somebody like that, you're like, well, come on, man. Like, what do you want from me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I gave it everything I got,
Yeah.
but, you know, I don't put anything.
I mean, and to each their own. If you want to do it, great. But it's like, if you're going to compete it and say you're a world champion, I think there should be a little bit of regulation there.
And especially, like, they go, yeah, I passed my blood test, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, there's only one a year.
Right.
It's not hard to, like,
cycle
time it.
Yeah.
Like, it's really not that hard. So they always use the excuse of, like, yeah, I passed all my blood tests, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you passed one out of a year.
Right.
So that doesn't, you know, you could still be on it. Like,
Yeah.
it's whatever. But yeah, and then you start to see, like, their bodies change a little bit because of, you know, what happens. Like, foreheads and eyebrows, and they start to protrude and things like that. So you see it in athletes, and you're like, dude, you can't hide it. Like,
your head's getting bigger.
It's there.
Like,
you know? Yeah. Like, you look like you're retaining water.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, your traps are always flexed. Why are they always flexed?
And it's like the whole Gordon Ryan thing. Gordon is pretty open about it, right? But, like, he whines about his stomach, right? But human growth hormone, like, grows your organs, right? So it'll give you stomach problems. So he like kind of complains about these stomach problems, which I get it. Like, your pants, like, that sucks.
Yeah,
you know, like,
it's not fun.
It's hard to, like, fight if you're worried about that kind of thing. It's terrible. But at the same time, it's like, you kind of get what you pay for, you know, like, you take that, and then that's something that can happen, you know, and we've had a couple jiu-jitsu athletes die from heart problems recently, and it was like, well, I mean, that sucks, but it was pretty clear that you were probably on it back in the day, so, you know, but it's just something you kind of have to expect. You can't sit there and go, this isn't fair, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's kind of part of the game.
Let's
you know?
play.
Yeah, playing for keeps.
Yeah, but I mean, I've always said I like, you know, being able to beat those guys. I like, you know.
No,
like
if you beat them, it's like, in your face,
like,
bro. You cheated and you still lost.
Yeah, it's always fun. But it is challenging because those kids are strong. They go for days. They don't get tired.
Oh yeah. And I just feel bad for, like, the other teenagers that have to fight against those guys, because it's like, you don't even, like, you're fighting up such a hill that it's like, it's hard to win.
Right.
It's real hard to win.
Right. So going back to one roll again, what do you got coming out? And you've been working on some new designs. I've been liking the no-gi sets you've been coming out with. What's next?
So I built, like, a baseline model. I'm gonna be making that same gi, so I built a baseline comp series. Just comes in white, blue, or black. Just kind of a baseline design. Doesn't have, like, the rash guard material on the inside. Just a patch that says the size and the whole 9 yards. But relatively simple design. But then I'm going to have the comp weave, and then I'm going to have the training weave as well of that same model gi. So you'll be able to click whether you want the lighter weight comp or the heavier training gi. That's next step. I have the comp gis in now. They actually drop tomorrow at 10. Well, I mean, by the time this comes out, it probably is already out. But
nice.
But the training gi will probably be coming out next. I had this idea. I don't know how much it's going to work, though, just because I don't know the integrity. But, like, a lot of times when me and my brother rip gis, it's usually in the pants, right? And so it has, like, the support areas like on the undercarriage area.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted to do is I actually wanted to have a space. So you know that gi material like that's in the crotch?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to actually cut that out
Mm-hmm.
and then put rash guard material in it, but
Mm-hmm.
then put the gi material back over.
Hmm.
So basically what'll happen is there'll be like 1/4 inch split
Mm-hmm.
between the material of the pants and then the other gi material.
Mm-hmm.
And that way when you actually like spread your legs apart, just the rash guard material will stretch.
Mm.
So I wanted to do that in the crotch area, and I wanted to do it in the armpit area.
Mm.
Just because if you also have the rash guard material inside the armpit, it'll
Mm-hmm.
just like create a lot more comfort as well.
Yeah.
But since like sleeves and stuff get pulled on so much,
Mm-hmm.
it'll just stretch in the armpit area rather
Mm-hmm.
than just straight pull. But I'm gonna have to build like a mock-up of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm planning on either double layering that rash guard material on the inside just for strength and integrity, or maybe triple layering it just to see if it'll hold up. And if it holds up, then I'll be starting to try to design that. But yeah, that's probably what's up next. Other than that, I mean, something that I've always had a hard time with was designing T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, as a person, I don't care about T-shirts very much. Like, it's cool if I have like one that says like Rice Bros and stuff like that.
Right.
I love it, but I don't actually care about the T-shirt. Right? I don't care too much how it looks.
Right.
Like, jackets and hoodies, they look cool,
Right.
right? Sometimes, but shirts for some reason I've never cared.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always had a hard time with shirts, and I don't know like how to put designs together onto a T-shirt and make it look good. I've always had a hard time with it. So I'll have to like, sometimes I'll like kind of contract that out
Mm-hmm.
and try to get people to like just try to figure something out with this set of logos, or like maybe build one and then just kind of put it in there and see how it works. But it sucks because by the time that they make one, I look at it, I don't care about T-shirts enough to know if it's a good T-shirt or not.
Right.
So that area of it has been really hard for me. I have a super easy time with gis.
Right.
Gis I can design all day. I mean, I have like 10 or 15 on my iPad.
Right.
But for some reason, T-shirts just don't click with me. Yeah, I don't know why.
Probably just because you've seen so many gis and you know what you like. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
You're barely ever in a T-shirt. You're either in a sweatshirt or a gi.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a part that I've always had a hard time with.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, but that's probably what's coming up next. I want to eventually, like, I'm slowly getting into the fight gear world as well. I have to talk to my manufacturers to see if they can build mitts, but I started to make gloves and shin guards and stuff like that.
Yeah, they turned out awesome.
But the actual equipment to practice, though, I don't know if they make those, so I might have to go to somebody else. But
Right.
I'm kind of working on figuring that out. But other than that, I try to do like the media, the organization, the ordering, the designing, like all that by myself, which is hard because I can't really be professional at all of it. It's hard to be professional at all of
Right.
it. I'm trying to learn more and get better at each one, but I also have to like learn how to build ads and things like that.
Right.
So I gotta hop into marketing.
Right.
And,
You got to be popular while you're trying to build a brand. And
yeah, it's a very
clothing.
slow process, which I'm fine with because you just get these milestones and it's fun. And it's not like it's a whole lot of overhead, right? I got to pay for my website and then like equipment, like pictures and stuff like that, and then just order stuff. So it's not like I'm paying for a space,
Right.
right? Which it's like every month, no matter what, right? If I need to lay off of marketing and like stop an ad for a little while to save some money, then that's fine.
Right.
It's not a big deal. So that's what's easier about having a clothing is it's easier to have. It's just lower costs, lower constant cost at least.
I wanted to talk about your one roll athletes because you've recently been sponsoring some great up and comers. Some of the guys that you got sponsored under you are making meteoric rises. So I wanted you to touch on those guys.
Yeah, I'm super excited because obviously it costs quite a bit to sponsor like a big time athlete, you know, and that's not something a kid that just started a company can afford.
Right.
So I actually trained with these brothers when I had first gotten my black belt in Nevada. One was a black and one was a brown at the time. They're both black belts now, but the Anderson brothers, Elias and Laird, they're both pretty accomplished MMA fighters so far. The older brother, Elias, he's mainly focusing on jiu-jitsu, but he's a combat jiu-jitsu world champion, so the whole Eddie Bravo thing.
Yeah, he recently fought Uriah Faber and
Yeah.
won the belt there.
Yeah, he fought and beat Uriah Faber, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Did you get to go?
No, I didn't get to go. It was in Mexico, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, they held it in Mexico.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
fun. We got to make
really
a trip,
cool.
trip down there one of these days.
Yeah,
Fun.
yeah. I think he made like a combat jiu-jitsu gym.
Oh wow.
In Mexico, so he built like he has like a Mexican team.
That's crazy.
Down there. But yeah, it was cool to see that. And then the younger brother Laird, also a black belt, he has recently gotten to Bellator. I think he's 3 or 4-0 right now. He's undefeated. Just won his last fight by rear naked choke. But it's super cool to like kind of hop into these guys' world and kind of helping them out and like giving free gear and like just going like, yeah, I got you for whatever you need, you know? And so if they ever need anything, they just shoot me a message and I send them some stuff. But it's cool to see like something you made out on a big stage.
Yeah.
I've always thought like ever since I started this brand when I was 19, and I've always thought that once I like walk past somebody wearing my T-shirt or something, then I'll go, yeah, I made it. You know, I've always thought that would be the moment.
Just,
yeah. I haven't gotten a whole lot of orders throughout the time I've been running this, but I've gotten orders from different states and stuff, but I've never seen it out yet, you know. But yeah, it was cool to see your logo and something that you designed and built out on a huge stage, right?
Yeah.
And so I got to see it on the Bellator stage. It was just a small logo on his shorts, but it was still cool. And but then Elias was wearing like a full no-gi set when he beat Uriah Faber, so that was super cool.
Yeah, no, that's my favorite kit. That kit was that was awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to see that.
He's got to go shorty shorts though. You got to go small shorty shorts. Like,
I like. I've heard that.
No, he kind of had the large, like it was down to his knees, but you just go size down, go mid leg, and they fit the same.
I have heard that I need to nip up my shorts. I have heard that.
No, I got your gold ones. What's that kit called? Your black and gold, the crown.
Yeah.
I got the crown shorts in small, and I love them. They're my favorite.
Well, they're stretchy enough to usually fit the next size up anyways.
Right, exactly. So, yeah. So I got a small, and they fit perfect. Mid-leg, I love them.
Yeah.
So they're great shorts.
I have heard that. I got to nip it up a little bit. I have heard that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No 90s basketball shorts. No, those are out. But they're awesome shorts, and the gi quality and the no gi quality is really nice. The feeling is clean. It doesn't feel doesn't feel too thin, not too thick, but just a nice stretchy good feeling.
Yeah, and I like to make sure that it's like not too loose, because I mean in no gi I'm sure you know that you probably get frustrated if your toe gets stuck somewhere or whatever, you know. And it happens in the gi as well when the gi opens up. It gets super frustrating. So I like to make sure that everything kind of fits a little bit tighter and to make sure that like things aren't getting caught anywhere. Obviously, it's a pain to like put on and it's a pain to take off, but it's just like at the end of the day, it makes your grappling a little bit more smooth to make sure that nothing gets caught up or anything like that. So, but yeah, it's been cool sponsoring those guys for sure. I also sponsor Chris Longo, but I like to sponsor kind of the underdogs as well. So like kids that work really hard and are trying to make their way into the world, you know. I like to sponsor people like that just because getting free gear can like take a big load off your chest, right? So if you're training 3 times a day, but you only have one gi, that gi is gonna rip pretty quick, right? It's gonna be gone. So. And then once that happens, that's another $150 bill that you have to deal with, right? So I like to kind of help out those people that are kind of coming up a little bit. And it's like the Anderson brothers, like they're in the Bay Area. They're pretty accomplished, right? But it's hard to make a good amount of money in the Bay Area, right? Bay Area, like, if you're a millionaire in the Bay Area, that's not that good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're a millionaire up here, that's great. But down there, it's like
Yeah.
you're just another person, you know? So I like to help them out, obviously. I'm sure they're doing great, but it's just another bill that you get to kind of knock off the list. Like, you don't have to worry about it. So, yeah, I like to help people out like that.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's cool. Yeah, and Longo, he's getting ready for Worlds right now.
Yeah.
He's been training a lot. He's gonna do well. He's brown belt. Is this his IBJJF brown belt debut, or has he?
You know what? I can't
think
remember. I don't know.
Either
He may have.
maybe once or twice before, but this is the first big major, I think, at least. But
yeah, it is. Yeah.
So it's gonna be cool to watch him.
No, yeah, he's gonna do good, but I mean, I just hope he doesn't get one of those roided out guys right off the bat.
Right.
You always it's always good to have kind of a warm up fight before one of those guys. That way you get like kind of the juices flowing, you know.
Yeah.
But if you get them right off the bat, it's like, God, you kind of set me up for failure, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. Those first matches are so important, especially like if you're cutting any weight, after you've been cutting weight and then you go right into it. It's like, if you don't have a warm-up match, man, it's going to be a tough first go.
And the IPJF usually like does that pretty well. Like if you're lower ranked, like if you hardly ever compete, they usually put you up with somebody that does compete quite a bit. It's kind of messed up with the people that don't compete, It's kind of messed up, but obviously it's like you're going to Worlds, you probably should compete a little bit more often, to have those like points under your belt. But they do this thing where like the more that you compete, the less of a chance that you'll get like a super high ranked guy right off the bat, right? I don't know if it's the same in wrestling, whether the high seats go against each other right off the bat.
Yeah, no, it's fully seeded, so they're separated by 1 and 2, but they actually seed. There's actually a criteria of where they are in the bracket based on their seeding. And ranking.
That makes sense. Yeah. But do they set up like similar ranks together?
So it's a
right off the bat.
No, it's actually a basic most common is a 32-man bracket that has 1 on top, 2 on bottom, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and everyone's kind of separated away, and then everyone else is just drawn in. So if you're not one of those top 8, usually, sometimes top 16 at tougher tournaments, top 16. If you're not one of those top 16, get lumped in. It's like luck
that's
of the draw.
Cool though, because they don't have like top of the top go right at each other right off the bat.
Right.
That's cool.
It makes sure that the 2 top ranked guys should have the best chance to get to the final.
That's cool.
It is cool.
Well, if you fight all the time, like you deserve to.
Right. So it's similar.
Yeah.
They kind of take a similar formula, but I do like the ranking system rather than because it's more of a money grab. I think it looks like it.
For sure.
Least,
Yeah, for sure. But like if you pay to go to these tournaments all the time, you should probably get something out of it,
Well, you should get paid.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, that's another thing I need to freaking pay people.
Pay people.
Yeah, but yeah, if you pay to go to these tournaments, you deserve to be seated in a spot where it's like, okay, I have a better chance getting to maybe semifinals,
Right.
Once you get to semifinals, no matter what, you're going to fight somebody tough. But I think that's a good way to go about it. Because if you're paying this money, you should have a better chance.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a gift for you. You helped me develop these. So are you a large or extra large?
I'm definitely an extra large.
All right. Got you extra large. So
thank you.
To get those done for my wrestling team this year. So thank you for those.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll get you a rash guard too. You can sport the Cougars.
Oh yeah, these are my booty shorts.
Oh yeah.
These are gonna be my booty shorts.
Some nice Valley Tudo shorts.
Get ready, Lauren.
The tights are coming for underneath. But you gotta roll at least 1 no-gi class.
Oh God. See, that's the cool thing about having you is you got it. I don't need to do it. Oh man.
Well, we had fun though when you were doing the wrestling classes. That was
fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was interesting to like feel the difference, like the worlds kind of collide. Like I did a couple things. Like Chase would like kind of wrap my arm almost. It wasn't a Russian 2-in-1, but it was like he almost had my arm locked, but it was like up in my armpit.
Right.
And he was lifting, and usually you can just kind of take the person over, I guess, in wrestling. But all I did was like move my foot out and put it on the ground, and then he just dropped to the ground.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know why I would have never thought of that. So it was kind of cool to like get the mix between things and how different it is. Like my neck is never sore in jiu-jitsu because like the gi just pulls on your neck, doesn't pull on your head.
Right.
But wrestling, they're just like, just clubbing, just da, 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 da. So by the end of like the class, I felt fine. But then when I woke up, I was like, it was terrible. Yeah. It was so much different. So much different.
Yeah. I was talking to one of my wrestlers the other day, and he was like, yeah, I was sore. And his dad, was a wrestler as well. And we're like, yeah, buddy, that doesn't go away. Like, my knees, my hips, my shoulders, they all hurt. That neck,
That's one thing. I don't know obviously I'm not a pro at wrestling, but when I would do my shots, I think I was just dropping my knee too hard. But by the end of practice, I was like, dude, my knees are like shot right now.
Yeah.
Like they feel so achy. Like they're not injured, but they're just achy.
Right.
And I just like couldn't take that. I was like, this hurts.
Yeah, knee drops are tough, and they're tough to learn with like finesse, and really even I think with no gi you shouldn't hit a knee with your shot most of the time, just because it puts you in a bad position if you're not very, very good at it.
Yeah.
There are kids that are very, very good at it. My shots, I can hit it every once in a while off my knee in the no-gi, but it really, I like to do stepping shots and like, snags because, the knees just...
It just ruins you. Yeah, and that's the only thing I knew going into the wrestling classes. So I was like, I've got one shot, and that's it. I don't have any other options, so I have to slam my knee on the ground every time.
Yeah, and then the next, I'm always you see me, you'll see me on the podcast probably, just see all the different positions of me stretching my neck, just trying to loosen it up because it's always just hurting, but it's part of the territory. You kind of have.
Well, in jiu-jitsu, like I can grab a hold of you and you can pull down on my neck all you want, but I also use my hands to keep my head up. Yeah. So it's not all my neck; it's also my arms, like keeping me up. Yeah. So that like there's no pressure on your neck most of the time. Yeah. And that was a big wake up call. I was like, God, this is so much different.
Yeah. Well, you guys feel it more in the fingers and the toes than anything.
Yeah, that hurts pretty bad. Yeah, that's for sure.
The fingers and toes, man, they hurt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Once you get the upper belts, though, my feet got all messed up between like purple and brown. My feet got wrecked. Yeah. My little ligaments on the outside of my ankles are terrible.
Oh,
so, yeah. They're not my forte, that's for sure.
Yeah, ankles. Yeah. Ankles in wrestling too. Ankles all over. Basketball, anywhere, ankles. They're not fun.
Yeah, it's a rough place to be, but
They get rolled and they're never the same.
Should have been a swimmer.
a little less impact.
Yeah, I should have been a swimmer. God, imagine how healthy those guys are.
Phelps is loving life.
Yeah, he's smoking weed and chilling.
Just chilling. Now he's just doing the backstroke for fun.
I've never heard a swimmer's elbow, that's for sure.
Yeah, even tennis guys got something.
Tennis would suck though, running back and forth and like planting on your feet and stuff.
Sprint. Yeah,
you gotta mess yourself up.
My brother-in-law and my sister love tennis, and I was never that quick or coordinated enough to play.
Oh, and they gotta hit it right.
Yeah, you gotta like do like a backspin kind of thing, and I don't know. I was never good at it.
Yeah, you gotta like scrape the ball, not like hit it. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm like no, but
baseball, you just like
that's what I do.
Direct impact.
That's why I like to use my hands. What is your favorite gi brand besides yours? What do you like to look up to?
Ooh, that's a good question. I've never thought of that. I would say like the design and like how things are ran is pretty like efficient with Hyperfly. The way they run things and stuff, and their style is pretty clean and cool. Control is pretty cool. I feel like their clothing area is kind of lacking a little bit. Like the brand that I'm most jealous about is probably Hyperfly.
Okay.
Kings is also really good, but Kings's clothing is kind of like, and this is why I don't make for a good designer, because I'm not very hipster, you know. So I don't get into that like hip hop type style, you know. That's not my jam. I like clean cut corners. I like just, you know, pretty regular stuff. I'll throw some color in every once in a while, but yeah, I would say the brand that I'm most jealous of would probably be Hyperfly. In terms of like way things are ran and the design and things. Best fitting gi. That's pretty tough because I've had quite a few different gis. Best fitting gi. I don't know. Most of them. So most brands usually go on the bigger side because I mean 100% cotton usually shrinks a little bit anyways. But most brands, they go on the bigger side. That way they don't have to deal with as much like returns and like, hey, this didn't fit, and like bad reviews and things like that, right? So because if anything, you can just go and get it hemmed for $20, right? So they don't like to deal with that. I kind of like to push the envelope and get a little bit closer to that because I like to get more fitted. Just because I don't playing it safe is not my jam all the time, you know. Most brands they'll make their sizes a little bit extra big. Like my A2 tall is not the same as a Control A2 tall. Like Control A2 tall is it's like big around and it's pretty long, right? My A2 long is more of like, yeah, you're like 5'10", and then you're probably a $170, right? It's fitted a little bit smaller just because I like to get more exact with it. Probably the least comfortable gi I've ever put on was probably a Shoyoroll one, because they're like super high up in the armpits. So like, obviously too big in the armpits is weird. It feels funky, but theirs is like up super in the tight, armpits. Yeah. So you're moving around, and no matter what, the gi is scraping down there, and it's kind of frustrating.
Right.
But yeah, in terms of companies, Hyperfly probably, and I like how they're building a team with the whole Dream Art project and stuff. That's pretty cool. I would more so like, instead of me building a team personally, what I would do with my brand if I had that much, you know, progress and that much to work with, I would probably just make more like summits. So like a one roll athlete summit, right? So if I had 10 athletes, I would get them all to come to one city. Maybe they all like do seminars at different schools while they're there, but like for the most part, they're just training in one area with whoever I want, just like once a year for 2 days, or 2 times a year for 2 days, or whatever, you know, whenever you can make it happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would do more so like summits and just have those guys come in and train and have a good time. Yeah. Obviously pay for their travel and stuff like that, but if they can set up seminars and stuff, that'd be great. That's probably what I would do more so than like building a team, because for the most part, what Hyperfly has done is they've sponsored athletes, like a lot of them out of Brazil, and then they go, okay, hey, all of you guys are going to train here now together. So I don't believe that they forced them to leave their team,
right?
But it was
they gave
probably
them the opportunity to.
It was probably some sort of like thing in a contract saying like, yeah, train here half the time kind of thing,
right?
And you're gonna fight under this name. So, and that, or they opened a gym for them,
right?
And so they were able to make money off the students that come there as well. They probably did something like that. So probably the money kind of enticed them to also come into that team. But I probably wouldn't do that because I don't like forcing people to do things.
Right.
But having somebody come out for a couple days and all of us train together, that's super fun.
Yeah.
That's a great time.
Yeah.
Right. But when you're kind of forced to come and train, and at the same place.
Right.
You know, sometimes I don't like forcing people to do things.
Right.
So that's not how I would go about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, obviously they're doing great things. Those guys win constantly. So.
Yeah, that's great.
Obviously they got a formula for something. So
no, a one roll summit. I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah, that's definitely the way I would make things for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even somebody gave me the idea actually. Maybe you guys can put it in your promotion, but for like either a tournament or like super fight cards, or even like a tough man, but for jiu-jitsu, whoever wins gets a sponsorship.
Yeah.
For a couple years or whatever. So people actually fight for a bill getting paid off.
Yeah.
You know? So somebody
cool.
gave me that idea the other day. But yeah, just kind of doing small stuff like that, not forcing anybody to do anything, but just kind of, hey, why don't you come train, or fight here and see what you can do or whatever. So
yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like those ideas.
Yeah, but that's probably what I would say for sure. Hyperfly.
Yeah, yeah. One of my favorite brands is, and they're more surf brand than they are jiu-jitsu brand, but Ruka obviously is a great brand. They've always, PM Tendor is such a great designer, and
and I love how simplistic it is all the time. It's very like cut, and then this is it. Super nice and clean
quality.
Super cool. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I used to work with one of his cousins or nephews or somehow related, right? And he told me that because they got partially bought out or something. I think Quicksilver brought them out or something at some point.
Wow.
Or like a portion, and don't quote me on this because I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was something like that where they bought a portion of it.
Just some sort of interest,
right?
20% or something.
Yeah, something like that. And he wanted to make sure like the integrity of the design and the art was protected in that. So I think he still has a huge hand in the designs and stuff. But he always wanted it to be artistic, and I wanted to ask you, what do you want your brand to, like? You have the Solve Evolve, you have One Roll, you have, what do you want your meaning to be behind your brand, really?
The meaning behind my brand, I just kind of wanted to build a brand kind of for people like me, right? So I don't enjoy like kind of hipster type stuff. I don't like fancy stuff. I don't like too much. Like I like very classical looks. So like for instance, my favorite gi that I've designed so far was probably like the Dark Edition one, or either
It's a sweet gi.
Or the frame. Right,
Yeah,
so very simplistic, like cut corners, like.
Was Longo wearing that one this morning? Did you see him? I think it was.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think he was wearing the new one.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was wearing the new one. Yeah, but I just kind of like the very like angular kind of designs. Sometimes I'll kind of dabble in the crazy stuff, like the Vortex one, all the colors. But I kind of like what Ruka was doing, right? But Ruka like represents a lot of surfers, and kind of I don't know, their brand is just like a little bit different, right? So I wanted to build something that is for like those guys that kind of like black and white a little bit more than neon green. And then I also wanted to build something that puts like novelty into jiu-jitsu gis, right? Because I mean, companies have came out with like special editions and things like that. Like I did it with the Dark Edition, but my goal, so I put that into what's called the One Roll Vault. So it's a different page of the website, and it requires a password, right? I don't make the password hard to get. Basically, all you have to do is like either direct message me or like be on the email list, and then I'll send it to you, right? But basically you type in a password and then it takes you to a special page of the website.
Oh, cool.
And so it kind of creates a little bit more novelty to it. And then it comes with like small things in the gi, like the Dark Edition one, it was just like a different colorway of the original Vanguard gi. And then the frame came with rash guard material in the armpits to make it more comfortable, right? Nice. So just small kind of tweaks like that, and I don't make it crazy expensive, None of my gis are even close to $200. Like the most expensive one is $165, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So adding novelty, but not to the point where it's going to cost $350. You know,
Right.
I get if it was like a $300 gi and you had to do like a partnership with a different brand, because the other brand would request a certain amount of profit from that. So you would obviously have to put on like a different price point at that point. And I understand that. But sometimes like I've seen gis come out and they're like $300 gis and they're like, yeah, we made 300 of them. And they're like kind of a regular gi. Like there's nothing too crazy about it, you know. And they sold out in like 30 minutes.
Wow.
And I was like, you made 300 gis at $300 a piece. What is that, like 90 grand?
Yeah, that's crazy.
90 grand in 30 minutes. And I was like, just because you put like a different brand on it. So they did like God, I forgot what the collaboration was, but it was like, I don't get it. Like I don't really understand.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm adding that novelty, but at like a lower price point.
Right.
Because I like adding special stuff, or changing it, or making it go like, yeah, do you have the password to this? And your buddy goes, yeah, and then you give it to him. Okay, that kind of thing, you know. I like having a special part of it, but not at the point where it's like it costs the same as like a Louis Vuitton purse.
Right.
You know, like it doesn't have to cost that much.
Yeah.
I know it's cool, but it's not that cool.
It's not made with gold.
Yeah, it's like just relax on that, you know, like.
Yeah.
And I don't like how like overarching like movement of society is toward that materialistic like type stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't like that just because like the Supreme stuff, like it's a red block with white letters that say Supreme. They sold like a crowbar for like $600 with Supreme on it. It's like, dude, you're not even a tool company. Like you're a clothing company. I don't understand.
You're a t-shirt company.
Yeah, it's like you sell fanny packs. You don't sell crowbars.
Yeah.
But people are buying a $650 crowbar to hang up on their wall. It's like that part of society kind of makes me a little bit frustrated. So I wanted to like put novelty into something that makes it a little bit cooler, but make it like not dumb. You know, like $650 crowbar is dumb.
Yes.
I didn't want to make it dumb.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it like, yeah, like it
You're
cost me
a practical person.
cost me $25 extra for rash guard material in my gi in my armpit, and it was on a cool part of the website. Like cool. You know, it doesn't have to be a $900 fanny pack.
Right.
Being dumb. Excuse my language, but geez.
It's silly. It is silly.
Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to do something like that. Like even some of the gis, like the Hyperfly does a great job with like different weaves. They'll do really cool different weaves, like judo weaves and things like that. That's really cool. I haven't kind of messed with that around with that too much yet. I'm starting to kind of research it, but they do a great job with that, and like the fact that they make the only jiu-jitsu gi that's half a judo gi and half a jiu-jitsu gi, like the weave, right? Which was a cool idea. And I get like paying maybe $200 for that, right? But then companies will go, yeah, it's $350. It's like, why is it $350?
Yeah.
Is there a reason? Like, I mean, the design's not even that cool.
Right.
Why would it be that much? So that kind of thing, like I'm just trying to help build something that's cool and not in that direction of society. You know, I just kind of wanted to make it a little bit more dumbed down and relaxed, and just not have it so extreme the way it's getting. You know? And which I'll probably pay for it in the end, because it probably won't be that successful because the way society is moving. But I wanted to kind of stand against the stream a little bit and go, yeah, you can have cool stuff. It just doesn't have to cost that much.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. It's silly that things are put up on a pedestal like that.
Oh, it blows me away. Like, I love Star Wars. I collect Star Wars toys, right? So does Tanner. Tanner loves Star Wars. So I have stuff all over my room of Star Wars and Marvel and Harry Potter and all that stuff. I have like a Darth Vader helmet that says Fox Productions on the inside of it, like old school. I have a 1977 Boba Fett that's supposedly worth $1,500.
Yeah,
right?
no, I've seen your collection.
Yeah, which
it's
is like
insane.
it shouldn't. I mean,
It's
that's a
cool,
little bit
but
different
yeah.
because it's antique.
Yeah, and
That's a little bit
it's
different.
nostalgia. It's
Yeah, that's a little bit different. I shouldn't say that that's the same, but like I like collecting stuff. I
Right.
think stuff is cool, and I love Star Wars, but I wouldn't go pay something crazy for something Star Wars related.
Right.
Like
And
if it was a real
right.
lightsaber, I'd pay a lot.
Well,
But like,
yeah, that's practical.
yeah. But like at the end of the day, I wouldn't pay $1,000 to meet one of the actors or anything. Like, it's cool. I've seen it on a movie, but
Right.
people are like, that's rent for a lot of people. You're gonna pay one month's rent to like shake somebody's hand or like get a toy that from 1970.
Right.
Like it's not. I think it's just too ridiculous, and people aren't understanding like the value of money and the things that you can do with it. Because I know people that don't make very much money, and they'll pay for retarded stuff, just stuff that is dumb.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you have a hard time buying creamer for your coffee at your house. Like, why are you buying
doing
that?
Yeah.
Why do you have a $1,000 watch if you can't hardly make your car payment? Like,
Yeah.
It's really dumb. So I just want to weigh people off that a little bit. So,
Right.
yeah. Just help people understand that some of the markup on some of this stuff is crazy. But I mean, there's something to be said. So like if I were to build like a backpack to the highest quality that I could, it would cost me a lot to make it. And it would also cost you a lot to buy it because it cost me a lot to make it, right? And it took me a lot of time to design it and get the materials together and blah, blah, blah. And I get that part. But when you make something that's kind of basic, but then you charge 3 times what you pay for it, it's almost like shysting the other person.
Yeah.
Like I feel bad for it. Like when people at the gym ask me, they're like, hey, how much is a gi? And I go 140. Sometimes I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's like, but I mean, it cost me quite a bit to make it. I don't have a lot of them, and I have to package it.
Right.
I have to do all of this stuff, and it costs me money to keep up the website and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, you're a one-man band.
Yeah. But at the same time, when they ask me, I go, 140. Like I feel bad saying that. But imagine people not feeling bad saying $300.
Yeah, or $500 for a crowbar.
Dude,
It's like what?
It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that part. It probably makes me a bad businessman, but that part,
A good person, bad businessman, but
yeah,
that's okay.
yeah, that
We'll
part,
trade.
that part kind of makes me a bad businessman. But that part makes me I kind of want to help people understand that too. Like just because they put this in, it doesn't mean it has to be $90 more. Like it can be $20 more.
For sure.
It's just small stuff like that. But I hope people get it one day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever lined a gi completely with like a no-gi material?
Rash guard material? Yes. So I personally haven't had one that's lined all the way through the sleeves. I've had one that's lined like to mid-arm. I've never had it all the way lined to the sleeve. The only thing about it is they don't allow you to compete in it, which is fine. It's cool to have a training gi, and it's comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, the only thing is, like, if your toe gets caught in it, it, like, gets caught in the rash guard as well, which makes it a little bit worse.
Okay.
Right? If it gets caught in the gi, it'll, like, slip out or whatever, but the rash guard's a little bit more sticky, so it'll actually get caught up a little bit easier. But, yeah, it's really nice and comfortable. I wouldn't train it in the summer. Like, that sucks for sure.
Not in Reading, yeah.
I would definitely train it in the winter, but they're nice. I like them.
Cause that's my biggest aversion to the gi is like you said, the knees, right? You're on your knees, and then that material from some gis can kind of rub and rip.
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I wanted to actually talk to my distributor and just have, so you know how there's a square about like from mid thigh to like mid shin.
Yeah.
So there's a square and it's double layered in that square. And so what I was wanting to ask him, I might work on it at the same time as the rash guard material in the joints, but I wanted to ask him if he could put like 1/4 inch padding, maybe, right, and actually sew it in. That way it doesn't slip and move.
Yeah.
And since the padding would be so thin, I was wondering if he could actually sew through it and actually keep it in place.
Right.
But something like that would just go a long way for like comfort, right?
Yeah.
But then a company will do something like that, and then charge you another $120 for it. It's like, well, it costs you $10 to add that.
Right.
Like, relax.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing.
No.
Yeah.
We should collab on a gi. We'll do an RTD gi.
Yeah, sure.
With a full lining.
Oh yeah, full lining.
Because I just wanted something feeling like comfortable the whole thing.
Super comfortable. Yeah, that's one thing I'll say about it.
Yeah.
It is freaking comfy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no joke.
Yeah, that would be comfy. I love, like, you see me, I'm always head to toe. Like, I like long sleeve rash guards and long tights.
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it saves my skin. It saves my elbows and my knees especially.
Well, in no-gi too, like, since people are grabbing, like when you take your arm out of something, sometimes the nails will come in and it'll scratch you everywhere.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that helps a lot with it for sure. At the end of every like no-gi or wrestling practice, I always have like cuts my wrist and ankles and stuff just from, and even like neck, from like peeling off the neck, the nails will come in, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
That's the worst.
Yeah. So I don't blame you with the whole get up for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll try it out.
Yeah.
We'll have to like do double sewing so you don't get that toe caught or something.
Yeah.
At the bottom.
Yeah.
Just sew lines. Something. Well, cool, man. Thanks for sitting down and hanging out.
Oh, of course.
Mobbing the front yard.
Yeah. Hopefully my thing's not broke.
Yeah, Nash, you might get a call here.
Yeah. My God.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later.
And I mean, picture Bo Rice and Nick Rice. I hired them. They were like, I don't know, 11 and 13. I had a gopher problem in my backyard, and I was telling them about it. And Bo goes, "Oh, me and Nick can take care of that." These were 11 and 13 years old. So I go and pick them up. I said, "I'll pay you $10." And it was like Caddyshack. They had bombs and smoke bombs. They had their pellet guns. Okay, smoke this one out of that hole, and I'm watching them in my backyard smoking out gophers and shooting them. And I thought, these guys are awesome.